Well, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? So today we are going to be doing a unique video, a video that I should have done a long time ago, but apparently, I do so many other things on YouTube that I completely forgot about this video. It's a very important subject. Somebody reminded me of this in my comment on my Facebook because I asked people, hey, what do you want me to make? Something unusual besides what I'm doing my series on. And so somebody said, why don't you make up a video on position of Rahu and Ketu in divisional charts? Because it's got to be important. I'm sure it's important. And guess what? It is extremely important. So that's what we're going to discuss today. And obviously, we do not know where your Rahu as in north node, Ketu as in south node of the moon are placed, what divisional charts they're placed in. Because in Vedic Astrology, there are divisional charts, that shows microscopically each aspect of your life. So if you do not know the position, for that, check out the link here and check out the full astrological report, including my books, Astrology, Conjunction, and Aspects at the Speed of Light. So, as you know, Rahu and Ketu are always 7 houses apart in the main birth chart. They're 180 degrees apart and they go counterclockwise all the time, unless they're stationed. And that's where it'll be still. They won't be going backwards or forward. But mainly they're always moving backwards. And Rahu, the north node, represents your goal in this life, your obsessions in this life, and what you need to accomplish in this life. The south node of the moon, Ketu, represents the things that you have experienced in your past life, the expertise that you bring from your past life to this life. Like in your past life, wherever Ketu was, Rahu was placed there because you were learning those things. And then when you died and you were reborn, then you were ultimately had the expertise in those house of that house, and Rahu is now here to experience something new. Now, you may not be so good of an expert of that house where Ketu is placed, depending upon how powerful Ketu is in your chart. But that's what their main purpose is. Rahu is this life's goal and obsession. Ketu is the things that you have already experienced, you don't care to experience, you don't care to do anything with them, okay? So I'll give you an example and then we'll look at different divisional charts, because in Vedic Astrology, there are different divisional charts. Like for your marriage and your overall strength of planets and your pretty much how your life pans out after midlife, it's a D9 chart, Namansha chart, which is a very important chart. It's like a high definition signal or a poor signal to your television. So it's pretty much a very important when it comes to seeing how strong the birth chart is. Then you have other divisional charts related to your children, like Saptamsha chart, career, Dasamsha chart, your conveniences, D16 chart, Chatravamsha chart, to your health, Trimshamsha chart. So things like that. So every house in horoscope has like this microscope that you look through and then you see the actual divisional chart. Because two people might have the same planets in the same house, but will experience different things related to that house. But when you look through the microscope, meaning divisional chart, it'll be a completely different picture, okay? So let's say Rahu's in the 5th house in your main horoscope. And Rahu in the 5th house represents, obsession towards children, obsession towards creative self-expression, education. People are obsessed with education. Like if you look at Angelina Jolie, she's obsessed about having children. She is obsessed about creative self-expression. And now she's obsessed about educating other people in third world countries. And at the same time, Rahu represents something unusual, something outside of the box, something outside the boundaries of societies. She has had, adopted children, multicultural children through C-section, twins. Everything that Rahu can give her unusually regarding children, gave it to her. And Ketu represents your network circle, your friends. And remember, she said it herself in an interview, I don't have any friends in the Hollywood industry. I don't have any friends whatsoever. So Ketu is showing that in the past life, she benefited from friends so much. She was all about, partying and being with friends. In this life, she wants to concentrate on kids and raising kids. And that's what her life concentration is. Now, you can look at it in a divisional chart. Let's say, I'm not necessarily going to use her divisional chart, but let's say if you had a divisional chart, Rahu placed in the 5th house in your main birth chart, but then in your Namansha chart, Rahu is in the 11th house. And Namansha chart is a house of marriage, it's a house of overall strength of the planets and how your life becomes after literally 35, 36, 37 years of age. when you become a different person. Because why? Scientifically, after the age of 35, everything starts to go downhill. Your metabolism slows down, your bone starts to get weaker, muscle starts to get weaker, something that I'm just experiencing now. So when Rahu is there, Rahu is now starting to like activate itself a little bit. Main birth chart is still there, but now Rahu is being activated. What this shows that in Namansha, Ketu is now in the 5th house, because they're always directly opposite to each other. So what this shows, after you have passed your initial mid-30s and you're in 40s, the obsession for children is really not there. They're probably either grown up, doing their own thing, and you're like, okay, that's it, I've raised them. But now you're more about creating more friends. You're all about experiencing different network circles. You want to gain more through gain in life. You want to make more money. Your concentration now strictly money, not longer children. But remember, the initial birth chart position is always the most prominent. That means if you are at the age of 60, your child is 30, they get sick, they get into an accident, you'll be obsessively making sure that they're okay. So that obsession reactivates itself every time you come in contact with the children. But in your second part of life, you will be more about network and more about gaining more multicultural friends. Same thing with the Namansha position. If Rahu is in the 8th house, the South Node is in the 2nd house in Namansha, shows that initially you started out being obsessed about children, being obsessed about creative self-expression. Now you want to go deep into the secrets of the world. You want to transform your life through whatever sign Rahu is placed in and the Lord's, because 8th house is transformation. It shows that in the second part of life you want to learn a lot of secrets, keep a lot of secrets, learn a lot of unusual things in life, because that's a divisional chart that kind of shows the ultimate transformation of the human soul. So that's what's happening with the north node of the moon, Rahu. Let's say now we take another, let's say, example, your career. Let's do the Samcha chart. Let's say where your Rahu is placed in the 2nd house in your main birth chart. Initially, when Rahu is in the 2nd house in the main birth chart, shows your this life goal is to make money through your own effort, is to learn how to manage money through your own skills, and no one will be there to help you with money. You're going to create your own money. That's your this life's mission, and that's it. But in the Samcha chart of your career, Rahu is placed in the 8th house, Ketu is in the 2nd house. What this shows is that you, when it comes to your career specifically, not your children, not your education, not your travel, not your spirituality, but when it comes to your image and your career, you want to dig deep into the world of research, world of keeping secrets, government secret agent. You want to perhaps become a gem miner. You want to become a civil engineer. Your true passion is always to deal with secrets and secrecy of the world when it comes to your career. You want people to know that you know a lot and you don't want to tell them. So you see, they're obsessed about the children in the initial stages, but even if in those initial stages, if the Rahu has not really started transforming into their Namansha, when it comes to their career, they're all about the 8th house things. Now, let's say if your Rahu is in the 2nd house, in your main birth chart, and you're here to make the money on your own, as I said, and Rahu's in the 8th house in the Samcha chart, this doesn't mean you're going to start benefiting from other people's assets. No. You're still going to have to make your own money. But what this is showing is that the career that will help you earn the money through your own effort may involve secret things, occult things, secret documents, IRS taxes, government taxes, dealing with surgeries, emergencies, transforming other people. So initial stage of Rahu is set. The Samsha sets what exactly Rahu wants to do when it comes to career. Now, if this person is 50, 55, 45, that means they have become their Namansha. And Rahu is in the 8th house. That means even with their career now, they would rather have other people help them with money. They would rather have their spouse help them with money. They would rather get easy gains, sudden gains, family inheritance, than them to make their own money through their own effort. So there's these 3-4 stages that you always have to look for. See where the Rahu is placed, what is the age of the person, where is it placed in the Namansha, and then whatever divisional chart you're trying to look for, where is it placed? Like in Saptamsha chart, the D7 chart of children, Rahu's position will not only tell you, what their behavior is with children, but the timing of children as well. Like let's say if you have Rahu in 3rd house in your main birth chart, but in Saptamsha chart, Rahu's in the 5th house. What this shows is that, first of all, shows that Rahu can play a really important role in when you will have a child. Whether it might be the Mahadasha of Rahu, Antradasha of Rahu, Paryantradasha of Rahu, or the Charadasha, the Chara Jaimani Dasha of sign where Rahu might be placed. Because whenever the Mahadasha comes, Rahu will be activated. And because it's the Saptamsha chart concerns children, the 5th house in the Saptamsha chart concentrates more on children. Definitely can show that in Rahu sub period, this person can give birth to a child. And then since Rahu represents unusual things, unusual occurrences, unusual experiences, what this can show that somebody may adopt a child in this time period, or somebody may have a C-section in this time period, or somebody may have a surrogate, use a surrogate to have their children. All of these things can be represented by Rahu being in the 5th, and not only 5th from the ascendant in your main birth chart, but also moon chart. Remember to look at all the planets from the moon itself, even in the divisional charts. Remember, I made a video with Paul Manley, alternative ascendants. If you haven't watched them, watch those videos. Parashara says to always look from a planetary position to predict something from the birth chart, moon chart, and sun chart. Meaning the ascendant, the main ascendant, where moon becomes the ascendant or the sun becomes the ascendant. If these 3 positions point to the exact same thing you're trying to look for, it's pretty evident that in the time periods of those planetary Mahadashas, that event will happen. And now let me also tell you one more thing. More than even emphasizing the divisional chart placements of Rahu and Ketu, you must also understand the Mahadasha concept, the time period. Because to really predict things of Rahu and Ketu in divisional charts, you have to see if they're running the Mahadasha of Rahu and Ketu. Because when somebody runs the Mahadasha, Antradasha, Paryantradasha, or Charadasha of Rahu, the time period of Rahu in their life, then the position of divisional charts of Rahu will become very prominent. They will emphasize a lot more than what it would if you're running a Saturn Mahadasha and you're trying to predict what Rahu might do right now. Because remember, let's say somebody's running through a Rahu Saturn Mahadasha. The way you need to imagine is this. Imagine wherever Saturn is sitting, Saturn has a blue light. Just imagine, why don't you look at a chart? They're running through Saturn Mahadasha. Saturn is illuminating itself with a blue light, really bright, where all the other planets are kind of paled out, and the light of Saturn is throwing itself all over the chart. That means Saturn is having a very important say in your chart for that 19-year time period. Now, in that time period, if you're trying to look for the Rahu's obsession, you may want to stick to the main birth chart and divisional chart and the Mancha chart. The divisional chart position where it will really come during Saturn Mahadasha and Rahu Antradasha or Rahu Paryantradasha or Rahu's Charadasha. And Charadasha really means that the sign-based Mahadasha in Gemini astrology that runs in your life simultaneously, if Rahu is placed in a sign of the Mahadasha or Charadasha that it's running, then Rahu will also become active. So let's say if you're running through Saturn Mahadasha, Saturn is illuminating your entire chart with the blue color, but at the same time your Charadasha starts of Rahu, where Charadasha starts off Cancer sign, and Rahu sitting in Cancer. What that's doing, that Rahu itself is also illuminating itself. So the brownish color will start to emerge from the chart. So you have your chart all blue with Saturn, but the Charadasha of a planet sitting in a certain sign starts, like Rahu, then you will see the Rahu's brownish smoky color emerge. And so now Rahu and Saturn both are going to play their part very prominently. But if you're running through just Saturn Mahadasha period, but Charadasha of a sign where there are no planets are placed, then Saturn is really having the really majority of the say. But then depending upon where planets are placed through Gemini astrology, it'll do those things, for a tad bit of their time period. And that's how you need to judge. So everything else that I told you right now, keep that in mind, but also see what time period that they're running through. If they're running through a Rahu time period, then all the divisional charts placement of Rahu will suddenly become active, and their career will be concentrated where Rahu is placed. Their their behavior towards children will be where Rahu is placed. Like Rahu could be in the 3rd house. They will be more involved with their children's extracurriculum activities. They're making sure, do they have hobbies? Do they have passions in their life? Do my children have any artistic talent? Do they want to explore their artistic talent? That will become active in the Rahu time period when your children are growing. So that's how you start to see these different charts placements of Rahu and Ketu. Okay? So guys, this was my analysis on this subject. If you're new to my channel, subscribe below. And again, if you want to know where your Rahu and Ketu are placed and where they're placed in divisional charts, because it's very important for that, check out the links here and check out my astrological report, including my books and numerology report. Otherwise, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.